All right, so back on Friday the 7th, I think it was, Flatbush Zombies dropped this track titled Afterlife, which is fully produced by James Blake, which is pretty dope because he's a great producer. Now, this track is pretty straightforward, but there's a few things to kind of decipher. So let's go bar for bar and break it down. First things first, I want to talk about the production. It's really fun. They all flow on this track really well. Plus the chorus, oh my god. Well, I'll tell you guys when we get to it. So first verse is from Eric the Architect with ad-libs from Michi Darko. Yeah. There's some things I can't help learning. At times, man, it makes me feel selfish. At times, man, it makes me feel real nervous. But that make me a real person. Anything sus, I'm allergic. I grew up in the hood, I deserve it. Pay me for my name, trying to maintain. What a shame when the day ain't perfect. I'm a slave on the modern ship. NBA, NFL, not on politics. Got bored on them, got awards on them. Nowadays they treating music like tourism. What is pop, what is not? What is different when you're not? Still I'm gripping on the knot. Paranoid when I'm counting every dollar. Cause tomorrow ain't promised when you're black. Or should I say, anybody going through it like I did. Skin color hybrid. One false move sending bullets through your cartilage. 12 circle block with steel round where I live. Buddy, get in line for the slop. Gotta figure out how to add time to the clock. Or tick tick tock, tick 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 tock. Load the Mac back when the shit finished drop. Huh. That's actually, it's just a fun verse to recite, honestly. Like, I like when rappers like make their rhymes focus on the syllables, just because it has like a rhythm to it, and it just makes it more interesting and fun. This isn't really well done a lot of the times, especially when rappers are like doing double time, but you know. Anyways, there's some things I can't help learning, and it makes me feel selfish and nervous. So you can kind of see this in a few ways. Like there's some things that him, as well as other people in general, just like learning about, and because you put so much time into it, you kind of feel selfish. Like, damn, I should be really out there spending time with other people or doing something else. And other times you could be learning about something that makes you feel nervous. So let's take, for example, the kind of like what's going on politically. People will start going deeper and deeper into it, and they'll find out some things that aren't necessarily public knowledge, but it's there and it's proven, and they're like, this makes me nervous because no one else is aware of this. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. I'm not saying that's what he's talking about, but that's just an example. Like, there's a bunch of stuff happening behind the scenes that you might not, like most people might not be aware of, but when you're learning about it, you get nervous. Or if it's something that's just completely different from what you normally do, and you find out that you're interested in it, you're like, oh damn, maybe this is where I should be going with it, with whatever I'm doing. But that makes me a real person. That's just a normal human thing. It's not out of the ordinary. The anything sus line, and I'm not going to talk about that now. There's a whole another discussion that needs to be done regarding stuff like that. So we'll talk about that at a later time. Pay for my name, trying to maintain. What a shame when the day ain't perfect. Pay for my name. He's basically saying, support me. Don't just be one of those people that are like talking about me and like actually just there, but actually support me in some way, because he's trying to maintain. And this could just be, yo, buy our merch, buy our music, because especially right now, they can't go on tour. Flatbush tours so well. Like, I've seen them live. It gets crazy. Them, as well as a bunch of other artists, really need shows and tours to sustain themselves. So that could be what they're referencing here. I'm a slave on the modern ship, NBA, NFL, not on politics. You can kind of see this as black people as well. I mean, he could just be talking about himself too, but I'm going to speak in general. Black people in general aren't necessarily labeled slaves politically, but when you look at the NBA and the NFL, like, there's a significant amount of black people, which we're basically just saying, like, we're just like, everyone's sitting in the background just watching them do things. All the owners, I believe, or a lot of the owners, are going to be white. So you can kind of see that, like, the owners being like slave masters and basically saying, nah, just do what we're telling you to do. I don't think it's limited to just the NFL and NBA, because This also references the thing that I've quoted a few times already, but the idea that people love black culture but don't love black people. They're kind of just put in that box where they're like, you can only do this. Like, we don't want you to do anything more than be like an entertainer or an athlete. Like, that's kind of the box that people have been putting black people in. That could be what he's talking about. Again, there's more to it, I'm sure. What is pop and what is not? That actually does kind of go into what I just mentioned. A lot of what's popular is what black people and black culture is. Like, black culture is essentially the most popular thing right now. Like, basketball, that's a huge thing in black culture. Hip hop is a huge thing in black culture. Like, those are two of the biggest aspects of like America these days. And, you know, like, you have to really think about where it comes from. Paranoid when I'm counting every dollar, because tomorrow ain't promised when you're black. Should I say anybody going through it like I did, skin color hybrid. One false move, sending bullets through your cartilage. 12 circle block with the steel round where I live. Like, this line, I feel like they could have actually said at any point, and no one really would have paid attention to it, like, too much. They would have been like, damn, yeah, that's rough, man. Like, that's just how it is. But now when you think about it, like, given everything that's going on, like, yo, like, we should probably do something about this. Paranoid when he's counting every dollar. Yeah, he's got money because he's an artist. Not necessarily the richest person, but he's got money, or, you know, to live. And then when he says, cause tomorrow ain't promised when you're black. So that's why he's paranoid. Because as a black person, you can go out and just get shot for being black. And then he mentions, or anybody going through it like I did, skin color hybrid, because his skin tone is lighter. You have, when people in the black community are lighter skinned, they do also face a bit of like negative energy from both sides. So you have the negative energy coming from the white people who are afraid of black people, and then you have the negative energy coming from the black people who look down on people who are lighter skinned. That one's not as common, but it's definitely still there. So the 12 circle block with a steel round where I live, buddy get in line for the slop. Gotta figure out to add time to the clock. This could be when a person gets arrested and they get sent to jail. The slop could just be prison food, maybe. And then gotta figure out to add time to the clock. That could be referencing that line where you're in prison and they're trying to figure out how to keep you in there. Because once you're in prison, they can basically make you into a slave, which references the line from before. Or he could be saying, gotta figure out how to add time to the clock in a way to like preserve himself. What is he gonna do to keep himself alive longer? I mean, another thing with rappers recently is that they get some sort of recognition and fame, but they don't fully disconnect themselves from the hood that they came out of. And that also means like they don't necessarily have bodyguards around them at all times. So you see these younger rappers getting shot because they haven't put anything in place to really protect themselves and to add time to their clock. I mean, Pop Smoke, we saw what happened. But recently 504 just got shot at. So, you know, like, that's still a thing. And then Load the Mac, he's getting his gun ready, just in case. This takes us to the chorus. My oh my, I'm just trying to catch the vibe. I'm just trying to live my life. All we know is sacrifice. And my oh my, I'm just trying to catch the vibe. I just want to make it right till we reach the afterlife. And then it repeats. I really like Zombie Juice's singing on this. Like, it's so good. And it fits the beat and the song pretty well, because him singing kind of sounds melancholy. And given the beat and the content of the two verses that we get, like, it fits it really well, I'd say. He's just trying to catch the vibe and live his life. Straightforward. I mean, just trying to enjoy life. Trying to see what everything's about and, you know, just chill. All we know is sacrifice. This could be, I think they were talking about music and their lives in general. Like, they have to make sacrifices to live their lives. And then they want to make it right till they reach the afterlife. Basically, trying to find a way to make things right. Not necessarily their life, but like just things in general. Like they want to leave an impact on the world by the time they leave. Like they want to help better the world somehow. Like that's kind of like the saying, I forget the exact wording, but it's like try to leave the earth better than it was when you came into it. Something like that. This takes us to Michi Darko's verse, which is the second verse on this track. Ironic how they wet you up and then when you drip too much. Acid, say I trip too much. Talk a lot of shit, give lip too much. Exposure showing how I live too much. Heart on my sleeve, I think I give too much. Outlaw, shooting from the hip too much. Wild boy, never shuck and jive for money. High boy, meet me in the clouds or something. Crowd roar, mosh pits, thousands rumble. About four face facts, this is our humble. If the world was mine, I would watch it crumble. Toxic mind, I get lots in trouble. Bartender, give me a double. Gin on the rocks, I sin a lot, but that's okay. It benefits. I swear, I got more facts. His verse is quite a bit shorter. Ironic how they wet you up when you drip too much. It's kind of like the attention that you get when you made it and you dripping. Like when you got jewelry or fancy clothes or fancy cars, stuff like that. When you made it, people just kind of try to kiss ass, essentially. Acid, say I trip too much. It's well documented, their drug use, let's say. Talk a lot of shit, I give lip too much. He talks back a lot. Exposure showing how I live too much. So this could be the exposure that he's been getting because he's at this point where he's pretty popular. So people are taking photos of him in places, or he's just taking photos of himself and posting it, and then people are like saying, "Oh, you're living too much. Like you out there living your life too much." Like that's not a bad thing. Let him live his life. Heart on my sleeve, think I give too much. So wearing your heart on your sleeve is like you're very emotional, but he's using it in a way where his heart on his sleeve is that he's giving too much, meaning like for like charity or like he gives too much knowledge or he's trying to help, you know. Outlaw, shooting from the hip too much. Outlaw, like in the Western movies, like they would like quick draw and shoot from the hip. Wild boy, never shuck and jive for money. Wild boy, looking back on it, throughout history, you have these people who wrote history, which are mostly white people. They call anyone who is not civilized a wild person. And then he's relating it directly to people or white people that call black people wild. Like when they were brought over from Africa as slaves, they were like, oh no, they're wild and uncivilized. And then shuck and jive for money, like dance for me and I'll give you money. Like entertain me in some way. Like you are lesser to me, so I will pay you to do something entertaining to me. And then he talks about the mosh pits and like shows and stuff, which again is talking about how they need to save their money, and kind of sucks because they can't tour and their shows are wild. If the world was mine, I would watch it crumble. This kind of contradicts what he was saying earlier when he was saying he gives too much, because I mean whatever, but it could also just be like he would just want to see where everything goes. Like if he was in charge, he would just let people live and just see all the chaos ensue. Toxic mind, I get in lots of trouble. When you're toxic, you get in trouble. That's just how it be sometimes. The bartender, please give me a double gin on the rocks, I sin a lot, could be talking about the toxic mind that he has. Because when you drink and, you know, sometimes you're not fully aware of what you're doing. And, you know, sometimes a little bit of toxicity comes out. You never know. It could also just be because alcohol is literally toxic to your body. But anyways, he says he benefits. That's where I got more facts. I'm not sure, because the lyric page shows it as benofats. I don't know what that means. So let me know what that means if you guys have figured it out. But anyways, this then takes us to the second chorus, and this is the same as before. That about wraps up my thoughts in terms of like the bar for bar breakdown. All that's really left is just general thoughts on that track. I liked it. It's an enjoyable track, and now it won't get out of my head. a little bit of behind the scenes. Like, I'll listen to these tracks right when they come out. Like, this one I listened to right when it came out, but I didn't really come back to it. But then I listened to it a bit over the weekend, and then now I listened to it about 5 times back to back before this recording. So now the chorus is just stuck in my head, and that's fine because it's a good chorus, and I really enjoyed the song. James Blake is such a good producer, and I'm glad that they work together. Hopefully this leads to this is on their upcoming album, but we'll see. Anyways, as always, let me know in the comments below if I misinterpreted something or missed something entirely, because it's very possible that I did. I'm not like the biggest fan of Flatbush. Like, I'm not gonna always go out and listen to their stuff and like fully dissect it. So there's a very good possibility that there's something that I'm missing because I don't listen to them as frequently as someone else may. So if it's referencing like another track or just kind of their personalities in general. Also, just remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.